Welcome, students. I'm this semester using a video to introduce myself as one of the course elements. Again, my name is Ken Elliott. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and have been a professor of psychology at University of Maine, Augusta since 1991. So I'm an experienced educator as well as clinician. My interests in the psychology of adulthood and aging, of course, relates to my own development. I am 71 years of age and am quite fascinated by the process of being successful in late adulthood. I live here in Mount Vernon. This is my home and my home office, and you can reach me here any time I'm close to the phone. I will pick up the phone until 10 p.m. After that, I will not pick up the phone. By way of dealing with our relationship and connecting with each other, let me say at the top, it's important that we each have a good connection to the other, and I look at us as collaborators. I am not a traditional instructor insofar as I'm the sage on the stage and you're the guppy swallowing all the information. That's not what this course is about, nor is it my teaching style. So please look at me as a collaborator and yourself as a co-author of our course, as well as a student participant. So connection by phone or video conference is better than email. I'm not a big fan of email simply because, number one, I get a lot of it, and number two, it doesn't lend itself to conversation and problem solving. So when in doubt, reach out, call me, and I'll be more than happy. It's probably my favorite part of my job is working with you one-to-one. And again, don't be intimidated by the stereotype of, oh, I don't want to interrupt my professor. I don't want to bother them. I am a well-paid faculty member and I enjoy teaching, so I encourage you, when in doubt, reach out. Now, complicating this semester is the fact that I will be in residence in Maine only in January and the first week of February. After that, I have been truly fortunate in being the recipient of a teaching grant, and I will be in the Czech Republic. I will first go to Prague, but shortly thereafter I will be in the city of Liberec, L-I-B-E-R-E-C, at Technical University of Liberec, and I will continue teaching 2 UMA courses as well as co-teaching a number of TUL courses. So it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And I'm looking forward to a few of you, or hopefully a lot of you, who might want to use students or faculty in the Czech Republic as part of your course project. And I'll have more to say about that later. But let me simply say the focus of this video is introducing you to myself, and a big part of working with me this semester is working with me first in Maine and then in the Czech Republic. I will be there until May, and I anticipate essentially finishing out the UMA semester there. The TUL semester starts a month after, but I won't bother you with those details. I've been a resident of Mount Vernon, and I'm truly blessed in that regard. It's a wonderful place. Since 1987, and as I mentioned before, I'm by history first a clinician and secondly an educator. So I first was fortunate to be out of graduate school, hired by University of Toronto, and I lived in Toronto for 10 years, and I was on the teaching faculty there, Department of Psychiatry, and I worked in a clinical setting specializing in adolescents and families in an urban setting. So moving to Maine in 1987 was a big change, and doing it alone without a family was a big challenge. I think I've adapted reasonably well, And one of the reasons is I love what I do, my work that is, and another reason is I'm a practicing Buddhist, and I enjoy looking at psychology through the lens of both American psychology and Buddhist psychology. More on that if you're interested. I'm more than happy to make videos about my longtime interest in international and cross-cultural psychology. So, long story short, I came to Maine and I was the last staff psychologist before they closed the locked adolescent unit at what was then AmHigh and is now Riverview Psychiatric Hospital. I moved from the hospital to the university setting and have been here ever since, but maintained a clinical practice in the area of assessment for many years, and I gave that up about 2 years ago. So I have a clinical interest in assessment. I also have an academic interest in assessment. I've been involved in the assessment of learning for many years at the University of Maine, Augusta, and so you'll see me pay a lot of attention to how do we know that you've learned it, and how can I use that information to make a better course and help UMA develop better programs. In addition to my interests in assessment, of course, I'm interested in using multiple media in which to teach and collaborate with students. Done that for many years in many medias. Certainly I've worked online, ITV, video conferencing, and blended, of course, hence the workshop. In addition to my teaching, I have been active in my professional field. I was honored to be on the Maine State Licensing Board for Psychologists. I was appointed by Governor Baldacci many years ago. That was a highlight of my clinical career. And I will say I've been rewarded in my teaching efforts as well, and have conducted research both at UMA and across the UMaine system on the use of digital technologies and the evolution of really what is teaching and learning in the 21st century. So I have many interests. Hopefully some of them will spark your interest. Right now, and when I go to the Czech Republic, I'll be doing a cross-cultural comparison of pedagogy in the US and in Czech Republic. Needless to say, I'm also interested in the subject of student-centered teaching and what that really means. It's a soundbite that many people use, and yet from a research perspective, I think we can do more to really optimize that. So I'll be happy to talk about that to the degree that you or others in the class are interested in it. With respect to our collaborating this semester, in other words, our relationship, I will be making videos each week. But in addition to that, I hope to engage with most of you in video conferencing, probably using the Google Hangouts. So if you're not familiar with Google Hangouts or familiar with a different kind of video conferencing, such as Apple's Faces or Skype or something like that, we'll find a common media, because I would like to work with you in real time and see you and have you see me as part of our collaborative efforts. So as far as workshop 2 at the middle part of the semester, that will also be an optional workshop, and my hope is that we can do that using video conferencing technologies like Google Hangouts. Finally, be prepared. One of the assignments in the course is an oral presentation. So the final workshop is required, it's not optional, because in it you'll complete one of the course assignments, which is an oral presentation and discussion. So I'll say more about that at the first workshop and at the middle of the semester, but on your calendar, be anticipating the need to be in real time with a group of peers at the end of this semester as we get into the first week of May. Okay, I've said a little bit about myself. I am not married. I have developed through the lifespan as a single person, but I'm certainly a member of multiple communities and cherish the network and the relationships that I do have, both here in Mount Vernon, at UMA, and indeed at greater distances. My family of origin is in California, where I was born. My brother, who is 2 years my senior, is still there, and we consult weekly and stay in good touch. And I certainly have enjoyed sharing his family with him. It's a fascinating multi-ethnic group, and certainly I would be happy to talk about that if there's interest. And let's see, what else have I left out? Another part of my network, my community, is my Buddhist community, and my teacher is in Rochester, New York, where I regularly visit. And I also regularly visit Boston. I have friends there and enjoy collaborating and would like to collaborate more with academics in the Cambridge and Boston area. So I'm open to questions, and I'm open to certainly sharing my experience as a 72-year-old as part of our study. I think I have pretty good people skills because as a practicing psychologist and as a journeyman who has lived here and in California and in Toronto and in Tokyo and in Sri Lanka and elsewhere, I think I have something to contribute to your learning experience. So do not hesitate to recommend ways to improve the course or my teaching. I'm confident enough to welcome any suggestions and explore possibilities with you. I don't claim to have all the answers about best practice in the 21st century, but I really enjoy developing our best practices for this semester. So I'm at 12 minutes, 16 seconds, and I'll stop there. Hopefully this was useful to you, and hopefully we'll be talking in real time at some point in the not distant future. Thanks.